Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Ann Hine. I'm not sure if anybody's out there just yet. I'm getting my comments on. There we go. Got a few people there. So I'm going to hold here for just a moment while I get settled with a few things and we see who else is out there. And then I will get started. So hi, we have Helen and let's see who else is there. Joan and Deidre, Teresa, welcome, welcome. All right, so we are at 3 p.m. So let me put on my camera. I think I'm ready. Whew, it's so warm here today. I have my air conditioner on, which is unusual. I mean, it's really early for an air conditioner. I think last week we were cold. And hi, Marty. Hi, Sarah and Karen. Welcome, welcome. So yes, so today I am, well, today I'm Ann Hine. Welcome to Live with Janome. I'm Ann Hine, embroidery software specialist for Janome. And today we're going to cover um, our mystery block quilt number 4. So we're doing this mystery block party and we're up to our block number 4. And I'm going to show you the other blocks. And if you're interested in doing this, if you missed out, we're doing it on our Artistic Digitizer software. And they are all located on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page. So that's the one when you go look, say, put in Janome Artistic Digitizer. It's the one with the blue banner. And when you go there, under guides, you'll find all the videos and you'll find the mystery quilt block party along with the instructions and the videos for all of the blocks that we have. So there we are. And hi, Jerry, welcome. So I'm just going to say a few hellos here. So that's how that works. And it is this, we are doing sort of like reworking, your clothes and things like that. And earlier on in this, I think in February, I took the February design and I made it into a mug rug. So any of these quilt blocks you could turn into a mug rug. So that's my spin on repurposing. So if you're not a quilter and you just want to make the block, you can make the block and turn it into anything you want, a mug rug, a candle mug. You can make a couple of them and make a table runner. You don't have to do a quilt. And we're doing one a month throughout the year. And then I think in June, I'm going to take a moment in June and show you how to trim them up and how I'm going to join them because I join them a little differently. I don't put my backing on there. I'm going to put it on at the end. So I'll show you that when we get there. So let me see what else we have going on here if we have any questions. So if you have questions, post them over here. And as I go along, I try to answer them. And if I can't get to them or I miss it, because sometimes they go by fast and sometimes when I move to the other side, I have to have my back to my iPad. So I can't really see what's happening there. So if I miss your question, I always go back afterwards and I check it there. Okay, and you can find all the videos I do on this page, any of the ones that we've been doing. Celine's been doing them on Tuesdays. We had Mitzi read yesterday, and then myself today. And every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have lives. Now, the thing I'm so excited about is next week, we have some great things happening. You all know, have you been seeing the teasers that we've been having? I'm so excited because we finally get to unveil something really wonderful. So next week we will be in Vegas, and I'm going to try to do a live on Thursday from our booth there. I may do it live. I may just do a recording early in the day and then post that because I don't know. You know, when I do them live, how sometimes we don't have good internet and it gets intermittent and it's just so frustrating for everyone, myself and you. So I may do a recording and then I'll just watch the recording and I can talk to you guys that way. Okay, so that might be the safer way to do it. So I may do that. Let's see. All right. So what I want to do is I'm going to go over to the other side and I want to show you our quilt block this month. And then I want to show a little bit of the stitch out because I think if you see how it's stitching out when we go to create it, you'll understand the creating of it. So it's a little, sometimes it gets confusing in the creating. And the way I've set it up, I do have instructions like 8 pages of instructions on how to do it. But anyways, so you can follow those. I'm going to post them later today on the Janome Artistic Digitizer page under guides under the Mystery Quilt Block Party. I just like to use them once for the live, and then if I have any major changes, then I can make them before I post them. That's what's happened before. I've posted them and then I'm like, oh, that's a big mistake. So I like to go over it as I'm doing it again today, and then I can make sure we have the correct one. So I'm going to put my camera on. It's over by my 550E, which probably is having its last few days of glory here in my studio before I pitch it out of there and bring in something else. I cannot wait. So, all right, let's go to do that. Let me get over there and give me a moment because I have to go to the other side of the room and I have to move a few things around and get my notes in line and all of that. So here you can see we are at the embroidery machine, and I'm going to move this around. Let's see. So many things. I was knocking over my lights earlier today. Whew. All right, I'm coming around. Hold on one moment. Here we go. I can see my iPad now, and I have my laptop ready. Let's put this here. Okay. So what our block is this month is, and I'm going to put it in the viewer. It's a crazy quilt block, and it looks like this. So let me move my camera up so you can see. Get that laid down nice there, and I'll back up so you can see. So this is our crazy quilt block, and we're going to create that in our software, and it's going to stitch all out in the hoop, even those decorative stitches. So I started it because I want you to see some of how I do it. And one of the things I do is I do make templates for my uh, shapes. You don't have to, but I find it very helpful to make templates, and it's very easy in the software. And this is what my templates look like. I print them out, and you can see they're the shapes, and I will cut them out. And once I cut them out, I add a piece of double stick tape to the back so the fabric that I've cut for them will stick to it. All right, let's see here. Get some things out of the way. I moved some things at the last minute and everything's on top. There we go. Put that over there. All right, so this is what I do. Here's my shape. This is number 2. And I cut, right side up, and there's a little piece of double stick tape right here. So I lay that down and then I can cut around my shape. And I'm not real close. I mean, sometimes I'm off a little bit. That's okay. You want to be outside your shape, which is fine. So the first one that goes down, what stitches first is the unfinished edge of our block, the finished edge of our block, and then it stitches a placement for this, and then I lay this blob down, and this is number 1, and it stitches around number 1. And then I'm going to trim number 1 right to those stitches, like this, as I hug my camera. So I can't see any questions right at the moment because I have my back over there. So hopefully you guys can hang on while I do this. And here we go. And on the screen of my embroidery machine, I have chosen to show one part of the design at a time as it stitches. So that way I can keep track of what's happening. And I can use my duckbills, and sometimes they work good for this, but these long, pointy ones I really like. And sometimes they're a little bit better. And the duckbill on this I can use on this side and up here, but I have to kind of go the other side to get this side. So when I have to hug my camera, it's a little harder. So then I'm going to take my number 2. And the other thing I print out is I do a little bit of what I call my worksheet or my stitching order. And so it looks like this. I'm going to put my foot up so you can get it under here. So it looks like this. So I can kind of keep track. So I know where the number 2 is going to go. Here's 1, 2, 3. And I'm working around I'm going to stitch and flip. So the number 2 would go in here like this. All right. So what I'm going to do is take the paper off, and I'm going to flip this up this way. And I'm going to align this right here. So it's going beyond, let's see, it has to go a little bit beyond there. There we go. So it's going to stitch and leave about a 1/4 inch of, hang on one second. I think I have to move ahead just one. That's what yep, that's where I'm not. Okay. So I'm going to put it here. So it stitched that part and I didn't move it. I went back a step. So now it's going to stitch. I just line up that edge with this line right here. This is outside. This is not the seam line. It's going to be a 1/4 inch in. So I'm going to lay this piece in there. And then I'm going to put my foot down and press go. Whoops. And of course, just like yesterday with Celine, our machines sometimes, they decide they are not going to, I'm going to leave that up for just a moment until I get a little bit further. I did lock my machine. So I'm going to grab my thread. Of course, it's going to come out. This is what happens when we go live. Everything happens. I could stitch all day long flawlessly, but then I put the camera on and that's when everything happens. So there we go. I'm going to put my foot down now and there we go. There we are. Now we are. Okay, so I'm going to unlock it and I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to take this out of the way. And I like to stop my machine. You know, I'm so tempted to let it run and put my fingers down there, but you know, that's when an accident happens and I'd rather not have an accident at this point. So there it goes. It's going to stitch that piece. And then I'm going to flip this back like that. Give it a little finger press, and then it's going to stitch the decorative stitch. So let's look, and I normally put a little piece of tape on there, and I just use the same piece. I move it around, so that would hold it. It's going to stitch there. So let's look on my screen so you can see what's happening over here. So over here, I've chosen to show one part of the design at a time so you can see what's up next is this decorative stitch and you can see the rest of my design. And when I touch it, it gives me the little crosshair where my needle is. So when I touch it again, it goes away. There it goes. Some of them have the little part down here you have to touch to get that to show. But on the 550E, you just touch the screen. And let me get my camera situated. And then I'm just gonna stitch this last one. I think I have 3 ready to go, but we'll see. So it's going to do that decorative stitch. And then I will put on number 3. And then I will show you how we created this. And I actually did 2 blocks because block 4 is a 2-block month. And I'll show you my second block. There we go. Okay, and it's going to move to where number 3 will start. So number 3 is going to lay in here like this. Okay, and I usually lay it down, you know, right side up so I can see what's happening. And then I just flip it over and I slide it under my foot and I align it just with those stitches because you can see my foot is about a 1/4 inch away from those stitches. And then I'm just going to align it down here and I'm going to put my foot down and I would let that stitch. And then I would flip it, finger press, and it's going to stitch the decorative stitch. And I would continue around my block until I got them all in. Okay, just so you can see that. So let's move over here. And I'm going to review really quick because I have them all out, the blocks that I have. And I'm going to take a peek at my iPod, right over here to see what we have going on. Let me see if I can bring this closer. And then I can check on what's happening, if there's any questions. Okay. Oh, Ginger, thank you for reminding me. You're so good at that. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, I think I got everything. So Ginger's asking, do I hoop my batting? On the piece, on these I am not. I'm hooping a mesh stabilizer. right here. I hoop that, and then I'm putting my batting on, and those 2 rows of stitches you see here holds my batting in place. And I'm not putting a backing on at this point. I'm going to put them together at the end. I'll show you how I do that in June, and then I'll put the back on at that point too. So here we go. And Mitzi, let's see, Mitzi said something too. What did Mitzi say? She says, uh, and Ginger says if we have Janome previous software, yes, I think you could do this in really any software. It's real. You wait till you see how I do it. It's just drawing lines, so it's very easy. So Mitzi said I think she said something about she did her own thing or something, but I missed it. Anyways, oh, oh yes, Mitzi. Yeah, Mitzi had issue yesterday too. Our machines, they know when we're live, so they just like to do that. So this is the other block that I'm doing for here. And part of this block came from the February blocks that we did. This little outside edge here. So I'm not going to show that today. And the stippling, that's in video number 2, quilt block number 2. And then the inside of this is done the same way as I did the larger block by creating these shapes in here, numbering them, and then doing the stitch lines. And you'll see when I show you how that works. So how we started out, I'm going to go back because I finally figured out my fabrics, is we started out with a 3-strip block, and we did different things in each of it. So it's hard to see on this side. Let me pop it over here so you can see. This is the quilting that's on that one. And then these are all the corners. These are going to be the corners, but you can put them anywhere you want. And here's another one. Now I have trimmed some of these, but I'm leaving a whole inch here. I'm not going to need the inch, but I'm going to leave an inch right now. And this is the last one. This is all for the January blocks. Okay. And then we had February. And so February, we have 2 of these. I have one done, one redone. I have to go back. So this is our February block. And as I said, we did make a mug rug like this. So I show you how to do that and how to make these little hearts that go around there. So there's the other part of this that says with the heart and you. So that's on there. And then last month we did this block, and we did a second one like this. And you can really do these any way you want. You don't have to, I'm just showing you I want to show you different techniques as we go, so you have an idea, just to give you different things to do. Sometimes what I show you in class, you can apply to other things that you're doing. So it's a great way to learn the software by doing some little fun projects on there. So I'm going to just double check here if there's anything at the last minute that I missed. All right, there we go. All right, I am going to move over to the software and we'll take a look at that. So let me kind of make my way without running into any cords and knocking over stuff, because I am not I'm a little clumsy at times. All right, so let me get my computer going, and I'll be right over there, and I'll put the camera on and I'll show you how I created these. Now it's not that hard. We did make a basic block in the very beginning, and then from there, we've used that as our basic. And let me see if I got this in the right spot as I go back to, there we go. All right, let me see if I got this right. I had to move all my lights and everything, so who knows where I'm at. Okay, so let me put the software on, and I have my iPad a little closer now so I can answer questions as we go, and we'll go from there. And it's extremely warm in here today. I did put my air on, so hopefully that's not being too much of a problem. So here we go to software, and hold on, I'm going to open it again. There we go. Okay. Wasn't that a pretty pillow? That was from another BDTA we did. That was really nice. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to open up, I saved everything in one folder, so I'm going to open it up and show you how to create the block. And I'm going to try to follow my directions as we go, as I get everything pulled back together. All right, here we go. Let me plug in the USB so we have that ready to go. All right, and I do want my files here. Okay, so I'm going to open this up, and it's in EMB. Let me Go ahead and open. Maybe. There we go. So here's all the blocks we did. And this is, I'm going to go into class because that's the one I saved the particular ones in there. So what you want to start with actually is the basic block, and then you're going to create your lines from there. So what I want to do is I'm going to open up this sample block because this is how I start. So I'm going to delete this inner block here. So what's on the screen right now, this is your basic block. So we made this on the first class and we saved it as the basic block. And I called it here sample block because that's what I'm using it for here. But if you make it the one time, then you don't have to recreate it each time. I just bring the basic block in to the next design that I'm going to do, the next block, and I work from there. So I like to start with you can do a solid piece in the center and then make your segments from there. You don't have to do it this way, but let me just show you how I do it. So I'm going to select that and I want to fill it. So right here in my used colors down at the bottom, I can just click right here and it will fill that for me. That was very easy. And now I want to put my little segments in. And you can start at the bottom or at the top. And for some reason, I start at the top, but then I number from the bottom up. And I'll show you how to fix that. So we're going to go to Digitize Outline Shape, and you're going to use your Shift and click and make your lines. And make them come outside the block a little bit like that. You're going to left click, right click, and shape. Now, if you have a Mac and you don't have a mouse, you can set your bottom, I think you can do it on a PC too, the bottom right corner of your mouse pad as a right click. And then I want to put one over here. So I'm going to Shift, go over here, left click, right click, and shape. And then I might want one that goes across here. And I am going to overlap them about a 1/4 inch when I'm putting in my lines like this. These are going to end up being our seam lines and our decorative stitch lines. Then I have one that comes off of here and goes down here like this. Wait a minute, here we go. And shape. And then that's number 4. There's 7, 7, 6, 5, 4. And then I have 3 that runs over here like this. I think 3 went down in here. It's not exact to what I did before, but. And then I have number 2. So 2 was going from over here to into here. So I have that center part. So I always start, when I'm doing a crazy block, I always start with a center, and then I'm gonna, like, I sewed that center piece down and then I stitched this one first, and then I showed you I put number 3 in, I was gonna stitch this one next, and 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I put all my lines in there, and what I wanna do is I'm going to save this whole piece. Well, actually, because I don't have let me see if I have the basic block in here. I want to bring in another basic block. It's not in that one, not in there. Or maybe I didn't save it. Maybe it's in here. Nope. All right, so we'll just use this one. All right, so I'm going to save. What I would do is I would move this to another block because I want to keep this here. So let's make a copy. Whoops. So if this happens, you know why this happened? I did not turn off my digitize tool. You can see it's turned blue on the side. So you can hit the escape key or the back key, and that'll take care of that. Now I want to turn my thing off and click off of there. So now I want to select all of this. And then I'm going to make a copy, and I'm just going to go to a new page. And I want to change my hoop. Here we go. You don't want to do the plus because that's going to add a hoop. You just want to change your hoop. And then I'm going to paste. There we go. All right. Now for this one, I don't need this solid background. And because I copy pasted, we are grouped together. So I'm going to ungroup and I'm going to delete that background. So I'm just going to select right down here, the X, and there's the background gone. Okay, now from here, I'm going to select each of these and change the color of them so that I know where they are in my design. Okay, and I'm going to turn on my sequence by touching auto. And over here you can see I have the two outlines and then I have all the lines. So I'm going to select this one and I'm going to come in here to colors and I'm going to give it a new color. I have this little inner window that just gets in my way sometimes. Make sure we're doing okay over here. And I'm just going to change the color of that one. And I can change at this point in properties, I can change the stitch length. Sometimes I change my stitch length to, it's a running stitch, and I might change it to 3.0 mm. This is a 2.5 right here. That's the default. Sometimes I just like that larger one. And you know, even though you're in inches, you can put something in metric. And if I tell you something, if you're metric and I tell you something in inches, you can just put the inch in and IN. So I'll put MM and hit return. And now that's a 3.0 stitch. So it's right there. So that's going to be the first one well, it won't be the first one. There's another one that's going to stitch before that. This is my next one. And I'm going to go down here and I'm color it, and I would change the size of it, but I'm not going to change the size as I go right now because it just, I'm going to do that. I just want to get all these in order and just give them each a different color as they're going. And I'm sort of working around. Here we go. This is the top one. So everybody's a different color. And then I need to make my centerpiece. And you can see over here, all the stitch lines are over there. So we're ready to go there. To make that centerpiece right here, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my digitize outline shape tool. I'm going to hold down shift so I get corners and straight lines. And I'm just going to click here and over here. And I'm missing, oh, something went away on me. Which one went away? Oh, this one went away. I think I had, hang on one second. For some reason, I have a line. Oh no, there it is. I'm sorry. Too close. Here we go. I'm going to shift and click here and here, 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 and here. And this is my number one. And it fills in. That's fine. I can delete that later. I'm going to select it. And I'm actually going to increase the outline by 3/8. So it will stitch, the placement will be out there at 3/8. And then all the stitch lines will be inside of that. So they'll be about a 1/4 inch away. So you'll have this extra. Do you remember when I put the turquoise down and I stitched around it and I trimmed it? And then I aligned the raw edge of the next color to it, and it stitched a 1/4 inch in from there. So we're going to make this larger, and it's very easy to do that. Come up here to convert and auto border, or you can right click here and do auto border, and you're going to do it to the outside, and 3/8 is 0.375, and I don't need that. I'm going to do running, and I'm going to say okay. And there's that line there, and you can see it's right here. And I'm going to take the inside of this and just delete it for right now. There we go. And this one here, I'm going to move it to the top. And to quickly put it up there, well, first let's make it a different color so we don't get confused with things. We'll make it this green. And then if I have it still selected and I right click, I can go to order and I can do back of design. And this is going to put it still out of order, but it's going to put it at the top. And then I just have to move it because it's going to stitch after these two, so I can slide it down. That way I don't have to slide it up so much. It's a little quick way to get it there. All right, so now we've got our 2 blocks, and then we have our placement, and then we're going to stitch that down. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy, actually I'm going to duplicate it. So when you duplicate, it stays right in line and then I'm going to change the color of it, and you'll see now there's the two of them. So it'll placement, I'll put my fabric over it, then I'll stitch my fabric and trim, and then I'll align my number 2 fabric right along here, and it will stitch this line here. So it'll stitch right here. Okay, you see that? Does that make sense? So give me some thumbs up if that makes sense, so I have an idea that you guys are following. Okay, let's see if there's any question. We're doing good. All right, so then I have the lines here, and what I need to do now is go down and add my, so Carolyn, right, your 3160 QDC is a sewing only machine, doesn't do embroidery, but you could do the, a crazy quilt block yourself with the sewing machine by placing fabrics and sewing the edge, flipping, do the flip and turn kind of thing as you go. So I'm going to select my second, my number 2 line that's going to hold 1 and 2 together, and I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to change the color of it. And the one I changed the color of, I'm going to go into properties, and I'm going to select stitches right here, and I'm going to pick a decorative stitch, maybe this one. And then once I select that, I can change both the width and the length. So if I come up here and maybe I want the width 5.0 mm because I like my widths with metric, and then my length, I maybe make my length a little bit longer. And if I highlight here, my arrow keys, there we go. So my length, I lengthened it so you can see it's a little bit bigger there. And it stays right in line where I need it to be, so I don't have to reorganize it, okay? I don't have to reorganize it. And Carolyn, you might want to embroider machine at some time. They're lots of fun. Everybody on the list here will tell you how much fun they are. Very addictive. So then I just work my way around my block, and I go to the next line, and for some reason, that line is there, and that's not the line I need. I need this line here would be next. So it's number 10. I'm going to move it up to put it below my decorative stitch that I just did. It's the yellow one. There we go. And I'm going to duplicate it, not copy paste. So that's the difference. When you copy something, it goes to the bottom of your list. And when you do duplicate, it duplicates right on top of itself until you change the color. And then it pops right below itself, which is very handy. So we'll find it right there. And that's another one. I would come in here, open my properties, open my stitches, go through here and pick one of these lovely stitches. Let's see what I want today. Maybe, oh, maybe this one. And I can change this, maybe 6.0. Be careful going too wide with your stitches, only because sometimes they take a big jump, so you'll get a 1/4 inch stitch in there. So that can get caught and damaged. So I would just work my way around and making sure I'm going in the order I need them to be. So these, I would just take this one and move it up here and duplicate, pick a color, then a decorative stitch, and work my way around. Let's do that one, pink. Make them all different colors. You don't have to stitch them different colors. This way they'll hold their place in line, and then you don't have to worry about reorganizing too much. So there you go. So I would work my way all the way around until I had something like, let's open up the class folder so you can see, I would have something like this. And I'm going to close if you have your grid on, you can go here to grid and turn it off. There we go. So you can see, here's my piece. So we'll go through the whole list. So here are the 2 blocks that stitch to hold the batting in place. This is the placement for that centerpiece. This holds the centerpiece down. I trim it. I put number 2 along here. It stitches down number 2. I flip number 2. It stitches the decorative. I lay number 3 in place over here. And then I stitch it, and then I flip it and do the decorative. So I'm going to do that all the way down. And when I get to the end, The one thing I add at the end is I take that gold box from the top and I copy it. And I'm actually going to delete it from here right now to show you. See, we're at 17 designs, and then I'm going to come in here and grab this one, and I'm going to come up here and do copy and paste, and see how it jumps to the bottom. So it puts it at the bottom of my list, and sometimes you want it there, sometimes you want it right where you're working. So that's a difference really between duplicate and copy. Oh yeah, yep, Ginger's right. You could do it like paper piecing too. Yes, you can. So from here, a couple things I do. I make some visual aids for myself. You know I love my visual aids. I'm really a seeing person. I like to see what's going on, and I figure it out from there. So one of the things I do is I make these templates, and I did show you those. I'm going to pull them up here, and I make the different templates that I need, and then I send them to my printer and I print them out. And to create those, I'm going to go back to my sample block. To create those, it's pretty easy. This is remember I said we have to keep that sample block. We're going to use these lines to cut the solid part and create. Now I could draw them all, but I find this I like to do it this way. I'm going to select that, shift and select the box behind it. I'm going to right click and knife. And then if you take this little piece here, you'll see there's that shape. And I just work my way around, selecting, doing shift, clicking the box, right click, knife. And then you can click off of it and move that out. Once I have all the pieces where I want them, I will go ahead and select them. I'll do the right click and auto border. And because my auto border, I just used it, it's set for me. All I have to do is click OK. And that's giving me the larger size of my block, sort of the raw edge, and adding that seam allowance. I'll click off of it. I don't need this inner part, so I'll delete that. And you can change these to other colors if you want, if it's easier. And then I'll use my lettering tool. So I'll click in here, I'll click text, and then I click in here and I'll add a number. So that's number 7. And then I'll just work my way, and let's put that in like a chalkboard. There we go. And I'll just work my way around that way, getting my, making my templates. Now they all don't fit in one hoop. So I did this, let me show you this really quick. I made 2 template blocks, and this one I had to put in the RE28. But if you put it in the far ends of the hoop, and then you go to print, and I love doing this, you go to print, and you can do a PDF if you want, but I just do design only right here. So I can click on design only. And then see how they're separated and there's nothing on top of here. If they're close together, you'll have one that you have to piece. I don't want to piece. And then I could just send it to my printer. So it's a little way we trick it when there's that in there. So there you have that. So let me close this little window. So I make my templates and then I print those out. And I also print what I call my worksheet. So I'll number my one of my things. Let's see, that's order. Here's the worksheet. So I'll use one of those sets that I made, and I'll use it as my worksheet so I don't get lost when I'm working. So I know this is 1, 2, 3. Now, most of you will remember that, but sometimes, well, for me, I get interrupted many times with other things because I go to Facebook and I answer questions. So I like to have a little worksheet. So I'll save that. All right, so let me go back. Oh, and I'll show you really quickly the heart block. I think I have that here. I thought I put it in the class block. Maybe I didn't bring it over. Oh, I guess I didn't bring it over. But you build it just the same way. Maybe it's in here. There it is. I'll bring it in. You build it just the same way as the one we just did. So if you're looking at our sequence, I have the 2 ones that hold down your batting. And then I have my heart shape, and that's the placement line for my heart fabric. And then let's go down here. I'm trying to find my mouse. And then I start putting my segments in. And so you can see the segments coming in, and then I make the decorative stitch. I usually do the segments first, and then I put my decoratives afterwards. And I work my way all the way down till I get down to the end. And then this is the, what is that? That is the, I think it's the one of the satin stitch, and then this is the outer, whoops, the outer part. Oh, they have the outer part. This is a tack down, and then this is your outer part, and then you can do a stipple on there. All of this to create this, the heart and all, that is all in the February block, which is quilt block 2. Let me put the camera back on, and I'll take some questions because I think I covered everything. And we can see from there if you have some questions. So that wasn't too hard. I don't think it's too hard. It's you have to think a little bit. And one of the things I tried to do is I do make those visual aids because for me, it helps me stay on track when I'm working around there. So I make that centerpiece, and I put my lines in, and then I might make them all different colors, and then I'll make the centerpiece and make it bigger, and I'll I'll duplicate that twice so that I have the placement and then the tack down of that. And that really starts my block. Oh, there is one thing for the number 7. When you go to do number 7, you actually have to, let me go back and show you because I just want to make sure we have that down. When you're doing, let's see, we are here. Here we go. So number 7, as you can see here, I have 2 straight lines, and then I have my decorative. What happens is when you're looking at this box, everything else can rest along these stitches and give you an idea of where to put your fabric, but this does not. So here I have you stitch at a seam line first, and then you're going to lay your fabric so it hangs over a 1/4 inch, and then it's going to stitch it down, and then you're going to flip it and do your decorative. Okay, and that's in the directions. I make a note of that so you have that. There are other ways to work around that, and I'm sure many of you will find other ways to build your blocks, and you'll probably do more creative things than I did. But I just wanted to give you an idea of doing some flip and turn things, how to add a decorative stitch, changing your decorative stitch, moving things in your sequence window, using your right-click menu to get auto border, how handy that can be, and also how to use order and how handy that can be for you too. So it gives you a lot of tools that you tried. Yeah, so somebody asked, did you ask about yeah, so the outer block, that black and the gold, we created that on the first block and we saved it as block base. And I just pull it in each time. And the one thing I did change on it, I don't know if I did it in the beginning, is I made the stitch length longer on that because it's just an outline, especially the inner one, because that's going to be a seam line and I might not need it afterwards, or maybe I won't stitch exactly on it. So it's easier to take out. So you can make that 3.5, 3.0, 3.5 mm. To make that a little bit longer for you. So that works out really well there. All right, I'll have another block for you next month. But remember, next week we are doing some things live from Vegas. Ooh, it's gonna be exciting. It's like Christmas. I don't know if I can be able to sleep all this time waiting for this to happen. So I hope you're all as excited as we are to show off this. And I think I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to wait just a half a second here to see if there's any questions. Just to remind you, we have our videos on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Celine on Tuesday. We have a guest educator on Wednesday, and then we'll have myself on Thursdays. And also, Celine is doing some videos on the software on the Canadian, let's see, I think it's on their Canadian, either their Facebook page or their web page. And she's done a few in French. So I know people ask about French. So I know she does some in French. So that's very exciting. I'm glad she's doing that. I have a hard time just speaking English sometimes. So I'm glad we have someone to do that. And if you speak a foreign language and you'd like to see videos in your language, try doing a Google search. Maybe put in I don't know, artistic digitizer YouTube videos, and then the country or the language that you want. There are some out there. There's some private individuals that will post videos from time to time too, so that may be helpful. And captions are turned. Usually, my captions are turned on, so sometimes they will translate too. I'm not sure how all of that works. It's a mystery. Some days it works good, and some days it doesn't. It's all that Facebook things. Let's see. Yeah, so yes. So Sharon is saying printing out the directions are great. So if you wait, I'm going to review my directions really quickly. I'll probably post everything later tonight, and then they'll be over there on the Janome Artistic Digitizer Facebook page under guides. And that Facebook made a couple of changes, so guides might not be where you think it is. For me, guides are on a little tab at the top that say I don't know what it says. There's a little tiny little word up there. I can't remember what it says right now. Maybe like I don't know. Well, anyways, you'll be able to figure it out. And I want to see your blocks as you do them. So post them to the page so we can see what you're working on. Next month will be a new block, and then in June we're gonna make a new block, but we're gonna talk about how we trim, how we join, and how they go together from there. All right. If you don't want to do the join like I'm doing, you can always add backing fabric at the end and have it stitch on with that gold box, or you can stitch it on with your sewing machine at the end too. If you haven't put it on and you want it to be there, you can do that too. There'll be lots of options, not a problem there. All right, I'm going to let everybody go. Have a great rest of the week. Be ready for next week and all the excitement, and we'll see you then. Bye for now. Thanks for stopping.